Blessings of the Triple Gem to all of you. And first, to our great master, the Sambuddha, the Dhamma, his teaching, and the Sangha, the Arya Mahasangha. And my teachers actually, who guided me, especially Madhya Mahanayaka Thero, Mahanahi. He was very instrumental in me getting all these things. So I've been very grateful to him. At a crucial point of my life where he just simply, not knowing who I was, what I was, but had a feeling and supported me. And many years back, when I was just a young yogi. And of course, my very senior brother monks. It's a very special occasion for me, especially because this venerable sir is the one, Bambalapitiye, he's the one who cut my hair. That's a very special moment. I always tell that early morning, around 4:30, Brahma Muhurta time, and I never forget the feeling I had at that time. It was like you've been taken to gallows. Yes, it's not just imagination. So this ordination process, the whole sasana has that effect, killing you before death comes, so that nothing dies. So it was very interesting for me that time, and I'm always so grateful to all who supported me on that path. And my Vandana to Bantes, all other venerable senior monks, even if they are not here. And the Dhamma friends here who wants to go on this path or who like to really do something in life, or at least to know the secret of life, knowing that Buddha's teaching may give that knowledge. Initially, I didn't think Buddha's teaching gave that knowledge, because the type of Buddhism I saw with my parents and even in temples and all other places, it was like, it was more like, prayers and vows and, kind of culture. So we have heard like Four Noble Truths and so on, but there's no big thing about it, not too much logic in it, not too much rationale in it, just some explanation, the cause of suffering like this. So I was not very, as a young boy, I was not felt very interested in that. But like physics and science was very interesting for me as a young boy. So, but there was this thirst to know what's going on in life. So I didn't know I had to speak in English today actually, because I prepared myself to come and speak in Sinhalese, because mostly my previous visits I have told that please try to don't make like the Islam, the Muslims, the compassion is for Muslims only. So it's like Buddhism or Buddhists also, it's only for the people who already have Buddhist teaching. So only thing we have not gone out enough or made it more practical, that's the main reason. So if that happens, I'm sure, it's like some kind of food, if it's very tasty, people will just be drawn to that. So in this particular teaching, the taste is peace. So I see that the science to peace, the technology to peace, this was well developed in the Eastern world, much before the Industrial Revolution and so on. I had to practice my English again, okay? Because from after long time anyway, it will be good for me. I hope you'll get some points in this talk. Give me 2 hours. Just give me 2 hours, okay? So that I can cover some of the things. If you're really interested, if you're really interested to know, to do something in your life and really want to practice, actually my teaching is not very, whatever I'm going to share is not very sophisticated, complicated. It's very clear. Some things I have experienced personally myself, and which I want to share. And there's a reason I want to share, because many years ago, I was invited to America as a young monk. Then I told, when I'm an Arahant, I will come. I meant it actually, because I thought, why should I come? What can I teach when I also have mistakes? And so I continued. I had some compassion. I must really help the people in some way, but then I must be first well established. So what happened? I went on practicing, and then I faced a near-death experience in Kailash in 2015 with altitude sickness. If you are aware of the high altitude, you have this you get altitude sickness normally, and sometimes we overcome it. So otherwise there's no medicine, you have to just descend to a low altitude. So in this situation, I knew I'm going to not make it. And that time only, it came to my mind, I couldn't give enough to the people. Let me try it next life, what to do. So this is how then I managed to overcome that period. Anyway, it's a long story how I survived. But anyway, that's the one. Then I thought I should have given something. Not necessarily I had to know everything. So like you're going through a PhD, you already know the knowledge of Bachelor of Science, and the Masters also. So you can give that. So that's what made me actually to come and give the Dhamma in 2015, 16, 17. I came to the public at that time. And then now this occasion, after some years, but this is also a very special occasion. Especially I had to get that calling to do like this. So the corona came, and then other things came. So I just continued my own practice. And some special things happened to me last 2 years back. Something that prompted me to again come like this. So do you understand my English? I don't know. It doesn't sound American, right? Does it? Australia is another accent, right? And then American is another accent. Okay. Oh, I know you will understand anything what I say, even gibberish, right? You believe me so much. Anyway, but I hope you'll take this knowledge. I come to the point very immediately, I don't want to, there's not too much time. The main questions in our life is, like what we are made up of. Like we have a body normally, and we have consciousness. Okay? So, wait, before I explain that, I will try to tell you a little bit of a background. Why the Buddha's teaching is so relevant, and how we can find answers. Okay? Because the main question in the world is also about consciousness. It's like a mystery in the modern time, what consciousness is. So, according to Buddha and the Eastern philosophies, the world is defined in terms of consciousness. Okay? So there's someone who, in the Vedic sciences, in the Vedas or in the ancient Hindu philosophy, predating Buddha's time, and Buddha gives it a new definition and explains it in a very perfect way. So they already knew about consciousness. That is something separate from the body. Alright? And also is connected karmically with the law of karma. Now Buddhist teaching is not some kind of where you just want to get peacefulness of life or something. It has a bigger picture. Knowing a bigger thing about our existence, about other dimensions, how we come to that. So if it's just for some relaxation, it's not so simple like that, just for relaxation or just to get peace of mind. No. It's also about the mystery of death, and it's about the afterlife. And it's also not to believe about afterlife blindly. These are very important topics. I mean, we don't have time normally because we are so busy to research on these things. And the way of researching this is not through, there is a kind of faculty you have to enhance, especially your mind. That is where meditation comes, where you use your mind as an instrument to actually experience this world. It's very much connected with our wisdom eye, not the frontal cortex. Wisdom eye is another part, but there's a divine eye, which was already known in India many years back. From that only they knew there's something called karma. There's something called rebirth. There's a law like that. We are accountable, and exactly, according to that, we have to go through. We get another birth to go. To reap those what we have done. So there's another person in your country, in this part of the world. I don't know anyone you know who has. I normally tell people to refer to him. Edgar Cayce. Have you read Many Mansions by Edgar Cayce? How many of you have read Edgar Cayce Many Mansions? How many of you are not? Quite a lot. Or both? You have done both, some of you? Read and not read? No problem. Okay. This is very important. If you really want to search, not to be narrow-minded, just to make sure that you study all the aspects which will explain life. So Edgar Cayce, it was very interesting. He goes into an unconscious state, and then he's to sometimes people who have problems which are not solvable by any other means, he used to find solutions. And sometimes even poison was administered to certain diseases and all that. But he used to relate to previous lives. Sometimes during the Crusaders, what you had done, how now it's very interesting. I would suggest you to go through that, because then it makes sense all what this meditation is, why we have to purify our mind, why we should not get angry, why we should not get greedy, and so on. Okay, in simple terms. I'm going to explain those parts, how it's going to function, and I'm going to touch a deep point actually. I have one very specific message. Whether it will digest to you or not, I don't know. Okay, even in Sri Lanka or anywhere, this time I'm not going just trying to give some knowledge. I'm trying to give you the highest kind of realization and what you should be doing towards that. We call about enlightenment and all that, and how to stop rebirth and the mechanism I'm going to explain. Hopefully I can, cover it up. Okay. So this is very important. I hope you'll have time to read Edgar Cayce Many Mansions to get a background knowledge just for this thing one day. Because I know even recently one monk came from Italy. Not a monk, I made him a monk, but I didn't know most of his background, and he told me he's doubtful about next life and about karma. It's fair. I would say even I would doubt what you don't see, what you don't have any other way to refer to. Of course you should doubt. We can't just believe anything. But I told him to get these books and find out whether what they are saying is true or not, and then whether it gives a better world picture. Just don't just be there, you try to search whatever knowledge is available and go through that. So anyway, I'm sure he will come across those things. So it explains also why some are poor, one is rich and one is ugly. All that it gives a lot of explanations, not blaming a God, God does exist also. According to Buddha's teaching, there are many gods actually, and how the God idea come also Buddha explains. That's another part in different sutras where he explains the cause of in different spheres how great beings appear, and how one time there's suspension of these beings, and when they they are not aware when they first arise, how they get a thought and someone had a wish initially, and then how those beings start to appear, and then they get the idea that they created it. So these things also explain. But I don't like it's no meaning just to get knowledge here and there. And it's nice to change your life, to make your mind more sharper, and so that, one thing you will experience peacefulness in this life, and other things you will see the truth about life as a personal experience, rather than told by somebody else. So anyway, I will have to give you this background, this thing. I was not well actually. I was recovering from a viral for 4 months. So this is my 4th program Sri Lanka I did the 3 programs, and then here, and we were in top of one mountain now. So we thought we should come down just to, I think I feel better. So I am this thing about, giving this thing to you all, because I need some strength physically and this thing to share some things to you all. So one very important thing is, I want to share in this consciousness. I don't know whether you had or heard about Deepak Chopra. He explains a lot about consciousness, which is coming from the Vedic, Upanishadic knowledge. This is also very good, because in this modern part of the world, consciousness is a mystery. It is still something like, because the neuroscientists, they are trying to find that is something in the brain that is happening. It's a chemical function or chemical activity, but it's something separate from the body entirely. So as long as you have that main research in the wrong direction, this can never be found. So, but it was well known, body comes as just an instrument for consciousness to arise. Okay, I will explain that in a very careful way. So, but before that, I want to tell what happened to me 2 years back, to come again and give these teachings. I have been touching these things in the previous programs also a little bit, but now it is coming in a very full force, because I'm explaining some of the main parts connected with the Buddha's wisdom part. All right. So in the before, I just told the background things that you should get, because I would like to explain to you all a way of life that you should be doing, and to recognize a way that which harms your intuition and what enhances your intuition, so that you will follow that way, so that these things become something personally experienced. Otherwise, they will not be personally experienced. It will be always an intellectual inquiry. So this is what my own life is, to experience these truths. That's why we lived in the jungle and solitude, because solitude brought that with proper knowledge and guidance. It brings you that awakening. There's a lot of possibility. So this started first when I was in Southern Africa as a young boy, when I was walking in solitude, but that time I was interested in theory of relativity, and especially connected with that I had some ideas. It will be long for me to explain that. Maybe we see when the questioning time I might explain. It gave me also a way to know that there are other dimensions, that that other worlds do exist, because the dilation of time, that's something in the old text you see, that 1,000 years on earth is one day, like in one of the heavens, and such weeks, such months, like that. So you have the other higher going on in that particular order. So that looks fairy tale, just if you have it on the side, only read that alone. But when you know theory of relativity, close to the speed of light, the time does slow down, and that doesn't mean that when Einstein found, then only this principle started working. It has been always there. He only found it. So that helped me to pass my exams, actually, because I had belief in other higher worlds, and then sort of predicted. Those days, I didn't study. I was only thinking about these things. So then I used to tell this old story: English language, English literature, headings. Actually, I predicted the titles that might come. So that gave me a kind of a beginning in this research. But still, the ordination or nothing like that, the Buddha's teaching didn't become very clear to me, until based on this, I had another experience where, that was when I was going for walks, and that time I was applying for Princeton, in fact, and MIT to do astrophysics, thinking that that astrophysics will give me more answers. But that's the time where I had this thoroughly, everything just changing and dissolving. It was in a single thought, And there it was very clear. There was a monk also in my mind's eye, and it came to my mind that even all buildings, all everything would not last. It will just disappear. And in this, it came to me like, if anything begins in time, definitely ends. For this vision, this understanding, there's no beginning. Therefore, there's no end. This is it. It was like very clear, and then I didn't decide to go anywhere, do anything. That's how this journey started. So solitude, I knew, it triggers certain insights. That's a very helpful thing. So it took me later on to stay in jungle with the text, with my teacher's guidance, and so on, and had more insight. But last 2 years back, there was this special experience, I must tell you. Because as a young monk, I faced a very hard life. Not by force, I want to live that way, an ascetic life. As my teacher also was a wanderer. He had no place as such, so he was on foot for 29 years. He never got into a vehicle, and in Sri Lanka, going daily arms round. So we also met him when he was going arms round. So arms round, right? From house to house, because we don't touch money. And that time, so when I ordained also, I started on this kind of life. And then I had to live a very rough life. So then I had to incline towards samadhi. I don't know whether you know about samadhi. Like concentration meditation more. That means more like you develop more mental energy by having more focus on a singular thing. It could be a compassion meditation. It could be, even watching the breath or something. But it increases your ability to concentrate. Not analyzing, not sort of, reasoning out or contemplating is something separate. These are two different meditations. So that time I used to do that before, very deeply with the teachings of the Buddha. But when I became a monk, when I had to go very hard way, then it went more towards that concentration meditation. Okay. And in that, I was not feeling the heat or cold or, any hardship of the physical body. So I got more addicted to that. So what happens when you get more addicted towards that calmness and peacefulness more? Your thinking gets diminished. Your reasoning and contemplation becomes this thing. But normally there are people who think too much, they are restless. So there has to be that balance. So this happened many years because I had to live so many years like that. So when I'm faced with some very difficult situation, physically in the jungle, like I had this experience with, poisonous leaves in the deep jungle, where I was looked after by robbers if they didn't find me. And there's another gentleman, like a group of gentlemen, they also found me. Actually, that one of the main gentlemen, I met him now about 1 week back, one of programs. He got to know now I am in public giving this support. So because of him also, they were on an expedition actually. They were writing a book about this area of the jungle. So they met me inside. And they gave me food and also gave me some direction through their maps. And they also called me back to come with them, but I was very young at that time and very, very spirited. So I left and I had a very tough time. And that's the time I met these robbers. And they are the ones who looked after me. Actually, meeting a human being in deep jungle is like a blessing because they gave me food. And there, with the pain, physical pain, I noticed you can't develop that concentration meditation. Okay. So there are, like we have already trained, we have to look at the feeling, observe it, not trying to escape from the feeling, just to face the feeling and to watch it. And then when you're watching it, you see more truths about it. And there itself, you begin to lose the feeling of it. When you face the feeling, you begin to lose the feeling. So that's another thing that we have to train. So that I experienced, and I saw the power of contemplation rather than just calmness. That was one occasion. But these things happen when I had a difficult situation, because it worked rather than trying to come to samadhi or concentration. So it went on like that. So I knew I must bring the books back, read, contemplate, which I did as a young boy. But it went so fast, because when you are in samadhi, time also passes very fast. It fasts very fast. You don't feel bored. It's like you're very high all the time. You know what I mean, high? Which kind of high is it? So, yes, it is, but this is a positive one. It doesn't have after effects or what, I don't know, Turkey effect, or I don't know what you have here. Anyway, so this is like that. So the time went on like this. So what happened, I used to take the book, in fact, the Samyutta Nikaya, I used to take it to the Himalayas. People think I don't go to Himalayas to look for a yogi or somebody, actually, because I know the teaching. This is I would say some samsara habit I would have had with Himalayas. And but I take the books with me, and sometimes in the caves I used to have it, but few pages, but I go to samadhi. So never continue reading, contemplating, and so on. But it's very interesting in Sri Lanka jungles, where the ancient, supposed to have been the ancient arahants have been there. There you find you can easily contemplate. It shows that, people who have lived there, they have sort of, you could say, they have kept some energy of wisdom energy, contemplative energy. So in those places, easily your mind, your nerves, this thing starts to work in that direction of, analyzing, contemplating, and so on. But in those places like Himalayas have, it activates your energy points very fast. So that is related with samadhi. So anyway, I can't contemplate too long. So it went on. I used to postpone. Maybe I try next time, like that. Even still, I'm trying to get it as I did when I was a young boy. Because anyway, I'm in that direction. So what happened? 2 years back, to 2023, one of my, assistants in India, he told me, you must meet this special yogi is there. You must go and meet him. So I didn't like to meet here, this one or that one. Those days I have met some people. So then I did meet this particular person. Now in India also, so much materialism is there that people are having skepticism about spirituality, about monks, whether they have any power, because you see today monks or any other way, they're too much externally, directed. They have no time, they are not focused enough to, go within to get that enough power within them. So it's going more towards like external world. Same thing and they're hearing also things that are not very, very good. So in India also they don't have any belief. So but at the same time there are certain not monks, they actually like renunciates, like sadhus, who have come up, who have somehow gone into some forest or some Himalayas and they have come up with some power, not necessarily Nibbana. But I would say it's very commendable, because in these modern times to show something beyond material world and to prove it to the people in a very tangible way. So there was such a person like that, lakhs of people coming. What he does is like he actually calls people by he calls them and let them sit down, and he has a board like thing and he writes something. Just tell sit down and write, and then ask what's your problem, and then what they used to tell, like I have this cancer or this problem, that problem. And then he shows the board, he has written all the problem and some solution also. So this way such a person in India could, and he has put this into YouTube. There's like a small village, then all India, and now very big people too, all over, they all coming to get his blessings and support. So anyway, my assistant, always tell me also, he called me, he's an Indian person, he tell me also, you do some kind of miracle, Bante. This is his aspiration. I say a lot of miracles are happening, you're not noticing it. That's all. So he's so fond of this kind of thing. Anyway, he has been for a long time my assistant, so I went there. And I will cut short the whole story. Lot of people, lakhs of people, but anyway, he just was drawn to me also, and then he took me to his home, and he did the same thing, that writing thing. And after that, I used to meet him. I have no way, through phone or anything, but he used to just come to me and meet me whenever I go. And later he told me the reason we are meeting like this, according to him, previous life we have been brother yogis. And for me also, I don't know what's the explanation for me, how I could meet him so easily. Where even there are some VIPs waiting, in certain place, they're showing their cards and going and everything. And later on, suddenly his assistants coming and calling me. And to see, I thought the VIPs would have gone already. So they're like chambers, it's a very interesting place, like chambers. To see the VIPs are already in the chambers and I'm passing them, they are not still gone to meet him. So I thought maybe hell is also like this. You can't have all these cards and go towards God, because you'll have to have some kind of real thing to go there. Anyway, I happened to meet him like that, and one day he came out in the 2 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "Not enough, not enough." His English is also he can't, he's like from a village. This thing, so he said. Then he also didn't know why he said why not enough, and later he said, we'll meet in the his chamber. So when we met, he told, we expect you can do more meditation, and we are expecting you can do more of this meditation, but that's why we said not enough, not that you are not enough, you're done. So like that he encouraged me. So I realized I had to do more meditation. So what I did was, I went back and I did more of my normal meditation, and I tried to do that analyzing thing also a little bit. But the usual habitual way of practicing samadhi, I did more. And I met him again. So it was like he was somewhere there, a lot of crowd, and then he asked me, when did you come? I said, in Hindi language, Kabaya, I said, I just came in the morning. And then looked at me, and I told him, then I just looked at him and said, how is my meditation? Because it's like I want to get an affirmation from him. And he looked and said, not enough. I will explain. And in the before, that time, 50%. Still, it was 50%. So we met. And then when we met, he explained to me, your samadhi is good, strong, and but your know-me meditation is not enough. The closest way he could explain was how to lose your ego that is through analyzing, contemplating, seeing the real nature of our being. So this I know, when he said like that, immediately it is regarding with the Buddha's, the main teaching of wisdom. So that I'm not reading, that's the part he's telling me. So reading and contemplating. So he said, know me meditation, because know me meditation is the closest word he can use in southern India. There's someone called Ramana Maharishi. He's Ramana Maharishi is the one who said actually the body is not mine. But according to Buddha, consciousness is also not yours. So we'll come to that. Okay, I might explain all that, hopefully. So according to that way of analyzing, the body is not you, to know that. So he knew that, know me meditation. So he told me, you have to do this. So then immediately I knew, I had to force myself to read these books. So what I did was, I think you all been seated already 1.5 hours? Or 2 hours, I don't know. And if you feel a little distant, get up and you can sit down. Okay. Because, so what I did was, I went back, I got the books. By force, I left all that samadhi practice, and I went fast, reading fast. I knew what to cover actually. There's one called Kanda Vagga, what my teacher has told us those days, and Salayatana Vagga. So this entire section where the suttas that made those days the Buddha's disciples arahants. The main thing that makes them arahant is through the no self. realization. Okay, no self is not imagined, no self is realized. There's no really self, it's a conditioned phenomena. So anyway, cause and effect phenomena, that whatever rises. So anyway, this I happened to, what I did was, then I went and forced myself to read the Kandavagga. And I went back, 80% the meditation has developed. I was very, very, surprised. And I didn't do it slowly as I did those days, but fast I read it, not too much understanding also. Then I knew there's something in the brain that happens in terms of wholesome states, more powerfully, more strongly with this analyzing, contemplating kind of literature, rather than, how much you stay calm for so many hours. So this is one way I felt. Then I read the next part. I went back again, and the Salayatana Vagga, the section continuously, 120%. So, and he also told me this is the highest meditation. If you do this meditation, he said, we will have to search for you. He encouraged me so much. I know he will not do. His life is very strongly with another part, blessing and all these things. That part is there in me also. Because I can understand now, we would have been brother monks, in the brother yogis in the past lives, but definitely he would have noticed that I have gone on another particular, which I would say, how do you know about, because he doesn't practice that, this know me meditation, or where the ego is going to be dissolved, and that part is a very specific one with the Buddha's teaching. Okay, not that it's going to be dissolved, your ignorance about it is going to be dissolved. It has always never existed, but we have never been aware of it, that it is not ours. Okay, it's that awareness has to be, that's a meditation where you cultivate and develop a faculty to realize this. So that's what made me come and start the programs and everything, that was 2 years back. And there's an interesting thing about that also, because 5 years back I have written something with a meeting of some similar guru or yogi like that, and actually he tells that I would start ashrama and systematically teach these teachings, especially start the ashram. So which I could not imagine 5-6 years back, because I was like a wandering monk still. And it's interesting, sometimes I showed this, what I have written, to people who didn't believe in karma, especially young people in Australia. I remember just to show that these people can see the karmic pattern. But someone would say soothsaying or something, Soothsaying, I don't know, kind of, predicting the future, something like that. I don't see like that. It is actually patterns of karma, how it arises. Some have some intuition or awareness of it. But that is the divine eye. That's a part of the function of the divine eye. But there's the wisdom eye, which stops the karma. Not see the karma, it stops the karma. Because it makes you see the reality of life and makes you desireless and dispassionate. So passion, desire makes you have karma, makes you have thoughts and words, deeds with intention. Okay, we are going to come to that. So that becomes karma. And that will be a cause of our next types of consciousness we are going to get. So that, we are going to, it's like a cycle that goes on according to Buddha's teaching, and then we have to stop this cycle. That's the main purpose. That starts with how we start to live. So one thing, I don't know, there are not much young people, okay, because in Sri Lanka I'm talking about how to change your daily life, daily routine. First thing is to find another type of happiness. Like I define 2 types of happiness. One is where you enjoy the sense pleasures, okay, and they are immediately experienced, but internally it increases your craving, okay, because you allow a desire, and it doesn't it's like drinking salt water. That's how the senses work. More you drink, it doesn't mean you get disgust or fed up with it, you want more. So it is a universal law according to Buddha, tanha pacchaya dukkhaṃ upajjati. Tanha nirodha dukkhaṃ na upajjati. That is, craving, more you arouse the craving, suffering will arise. And when the craving is dealt or reduced, your suffering will reduce. It's a universal law. So whatever experiences you are enjoying, where the craving is increasing, you'll find overall you will have suffering. How to see this? You can see people with a lot of things, everything what they wish also they have got. Okay? Whatever aim, who have been looked as who are very successful, and just look at their face. I know some people put out makeup, but without makeup I mean. But anyway, just look whether there's actual happiness, actual peace, that at least one could sit down in one place, satisfied, just be sitting only, doing nothing. That's also, you can do that, not as a kind of a forcefully done. Naturally it can be done if your mind reduces desires, and there's another kind of pleasure that is arising in the mind. So this other pleasure is just temporary, and then it increases your craving. Then you have a sadness without a reason, or an unsatisfied nature without a reason. There's no reason, but you feel unsatisfied or unfulfilled. That sense is experienced. That's the majority. So there's another one, another feeling, another way, where you'll be disciplining, and slowly, you will be not only just disciplining your senses or what you're experiencing through the senses, and also channeling that energy to, you could say, higher states of awareness, consciousness, a way of looking at the world, where desire is, you're getting more desirelessness, dispassionate, you get dispassion, and in that direction also you get a feeling. And that is, we normally call in the Pali, Niramisa. And more you experience that, you begin to have a happiness without a reason. That's very important. Happiness without a reason. It starts from giving, for example. You give something which you like, generosity we call it. Okay? And in generosity also we feel that happiness. So that is like gone in that direction. If you go more and more in that direction, then there are people you can see real joy in them. Okay? So it ends up in wisdom. That joy ends up in when you begin to see the secret of life. That's a joy. Very difficult to get it. There are moments where you intuitively, even about that this body is not me or your consciousness is not me, these are personally experienced through the teaching or anywhere. There also that joy will come, but that is a very tremendous, it's not like, a tremendous means it's a very subtle, and it will burn your inner impurities so much in your consciousness. That is a permanent, this thing, that's what sainthood or saintliness starts to come, where there's no sense of illusionary sense of self or idea of self for things that are changing. So anyway, these two experiences are there. So we have to choose, we have to channel, you have to begin to, if you are going to start this journey, we have to get into that journey of, going within us. So it's a journey within us, the subtle feeling that you get in your heart or mind, it starts from even giving, sharing. That's how you learn to know what type of feeling it is. And then it goes on, and when you have few thoughts from the five senses, then you experience in a higher way, as we call samadhi. So one of the things that is like a AC, this thing in your consciousness, you feel a coolness, and it's free from like dullness, so bright and just equanimous. So that's a very high dosage of peace. And beyond that, if you use that, normally Buddha's teaching, that is not the end, what we are supposed to practice for. We are using that to gain permanent wisdom. We will touch that part of the wisdom. Anyway, so in Sri Lanka, and I don't know here, I had to first still notice, I am not just few days here after many years. And that time also I didn't notice. So I noticed in Sri Lanka, in even other countries, so what disturbs our inner journey is the external objects mostly. So I see the main things that for our internal journey, the thing that brings about external objects towards us is the phone today. Am I right? I don't know. The phone? Have all of you got this phone? I mean, you have to for your GPS, for your traveling, everything, okay? But this is called a device, right? So it actually enhances the sense world. It enhances the sense world. If you're really serious about going internally and this thing, you'll have to minimize your obstacles towards that. If you want to talk about it, that's a different thing. Then it's very helpful because so many teachings are from different teachings are there, and that's very helpful. But if you want to go into subtler feelings, subtler perceptions of reality and evolution about you, if you want to evolve yourself to a higher being, and the human being is capable of, then we'll have to slowly protect the instrument or the organ that makes it happen. That's the brain. Especially the frontal cortex. We have two things mainly operating, the reptilian brain and the frontal cortex. So it is well known that, in the more the reptilian brain is active, the frontal cortex is damaged. Okay, and especially when strong emotions, especially like food and sex, these things where the reptilian brain is so strong that the frontal cord, that's why we have so much rules strongly to protect from this, so that, you will not damage this part where you're going to, use it for your higher experiences. So, the phone, I would say, I don't know, this I noticed that especially like short videos and all that, I don't know, TikTok, and it's so addictive, you so much dopamine. So you have more dopamine, this thing. So that's another kind. It's not like drinking wine or beer or some kind of thing. This, if you're all the time with it, then definitely there's some problem. So if you don't change in those directions, especially I know that so one has to know the danger, the damage from that, and then if you're addicted just for your work, then you have to limit your work. But it's very difficult because you'll be postponing this for tomorrow. So this is another thing that, so to break that also I have noticed, one very important exercise is early morning as you get up. Don't think it's a simple thing. What you really want to achieve in your life, you find people who are very successful, they are doing it knowingly or unknowingly. Early morning when they get up, they don't start their work. They just seem to have that empty mind for a short while, maybe 15 minutes, half an hour, and sort of remember the things that are very important that they should achieve. Okay? So that telling to your mind about this is going to change. It seems simple because it all starts how the brain is wired, how the mind is wired. So if you can start off in the morning, don't get up, don't open your eyes. I do another practice, I didn't know that, but I find even billionaires and all who have become successful, they have done this. Somehow they have, not knowingly I'm sure, that they used to just don't wake up immediately, and then they would say what is most important, and then that like postponing has stopped in them. So they are productive. They achieve what they have sort of put their mind to. So I'm telling, it's no point becoming a billionaire or anybody, because it's not a good place to tell, right? California, Los Angeles, I don't know, where Hollywood is all there with a lot of different values. But one problem I notice is that, all these people who have achieved like that also, they go to intoxication so much. Have you noticed that? Because either they are on drugs, because they are still going behind the sense stimulation thing and trying to find, and I could see the poverty in wisdom. That is a very big poverty you could find in wisdom, regarding life, what is it, like, to know that actually something about, in broader sense about life. And that I think is very much lacking. so which was very rich in the Eastern world, because they even had a lot of ways of preparation for death in the Eastern world. Pilgrimages all were done to clear your path, to release the soul very easily to a next life, knowing all this mechanism. All these rituals were made and all that. And even when someone dear and close is lost, don't go to psychiatrists or some kind of who have some counseling. There are so many other means to get peace of mind. In the culture has brought about that. So anyway, in this part, but I'm sure people who have that. My teacher was from Germany actually, so who inspired me a lot, and he's the one who I believe there are beings who have or in this plane who have that tremendous evolution, who can awaken that. And with that material freedom a little bit, if they can become satisfied with what they little have, they can go on a long journey. But if they can really know about self-discipline and putting them into a proper environment, I'm sure they can become really, really, strongly go on this path. So, if I stop, I will just stop because I had to go in a flow. I know my points are from here and there. So that is very important point. I hope you can understand. When you get up, just lie down. If you really postpone, your life is going on like that, try this out. I don't want you all to just spend days and years not achieving what you want, what you put your mind to. So make sure that at least tomorrow, just think, maybe reading the books, maybe reading Edgar Cayce's, getting those books, and having a routine from morning, staying late up in the night, and then these are all, it's not going to make you progress in any field of life. So I hope this can be broken, and so that your even material life as well as your inner journey will become a success as time goes on. That's very important. I hope you can. Procrastination, right? Am I right pronouncing? So that is so to stop this in the morning, very important. And other thing is, who have fallen down. Some are like really down. They were somewhere and they just want to become like that to start everything. That's another thing I would like to tell. Like, you have really come down. And you're not, picking up anything. And you're waiting for everything to be successful to start something. You will find great people who have achieved something also. They have already had a lot of problems. The simple secret was that they continue with whatever was there. They never stopped their striving. Okay? So these are very, I think, small pointers, because we must not get, we must learn to go in a positive way on this path. So, wait a minute, I must... So the other thing I must tell you, I must explain to you about this, I normally explain, is that you have one of my, actually Soma Hamdru, we had a very inspiring, in our very senior brother monks. He gave a lot of inspiration to Sri Lanka mostly. He had no time to go other countries. Made it very practical. He passed away. He didn't stay long also. So he was like a very fiery, very inspirational Bhante. So one day he used to explain to us, one day he told us, I never forget, that when you get some emotion like anger or aversion, certain chemical reaction happens or hormonal reaction happen in your body. So he talked about this adrenaline, okay? So normally adrenaline has the other way, it creates those emotions in you. So there's like an interrelation between this, okay? So he told me then, if you have peaceful emotions, like positive, or like even chanting or prayer or something like that, something also should happen in your body. Then he named it minus adrenaline. So at that time it came to me another word, actually Ayurvedic word about ojas. I don't know whether you have known this term. Ojas, tejas. Ojas is a very subtle kind of a substance which is created when you actually opposite to our negative emotions. When they are created when they happen in our mind, then this substance is created, ojas. It's normally when you do more meditation, it is created. Meditation is related with more dispassion, wisdom. So when wisdom is created, very interesting, tejas is created. Tejas, these are more subtler than ojas. And normally this substance goes to your brain and opens up areas of the brain which are not opened up yet and get deposited. And that substance, that thing that gets deposited, or the part of the brain that is awakened, it starts to create those thoughts. So the initial creation of the thoughts is difficult, but while it's created after that, it's like starts to have a kind of supporting cycle. So when this happens a lot, especially with devotion, concentration, discipline, when these things are practiced, this will start to work. And more it happens, it changes your body. It changes your body. It makes you more magnetic. It makes you charming. So I tell them, you don't have to, those days I used to tell, you don't have to apply Nivea or, I don't know, I had another this thing. Actually, I saw in a pharmacy, I was sick, so I have been visiting pharmacies a lot last few, this recently before coming also, like a vitamin, something, antigen or something. One kind of thing, I thought it's some vitamin, I was trying to maybe take it for myself. So with my assistant, I was there in Sri Lanka to see it create shine in your skin. Do you know this name? Collagen, that's right. So I thought whether I use it, then my devotees will get tricked, that. I thought, how can they dupe this, this shine of the skin? Because shine of the skin is connected with character also. I tell, because people to get a tangible idea about this. It creates smooth skin, baby skin. So that is actually coming from the blood flow with less of anger, greed, hate. With calmness, it creates another type of this thing. And it creates a shine. So normally when ojas is more created, there's a shine in your cheeks and your forehead. So I tell people, don't lose this shine if you have developed it enough for some time. And tejas, it is a more, that is analyzing, contemplating, it creates a more finer, charming energy, substance in you. I know people, critics will tell Swamin once say, Bhante is promoting some cosmetics or something. Okay, so who wants to get some practice is good for them. But remember this, these are true things. So if you do some negative things and have bath and everything, don't think you are going to be like fresh. Yeah, it will trick all the people who are tricking everybody. Majority of us, we don't notice because we also have so much defilements. So we can't notice unless we are really a little bit up. You can notice this person, like Buddha says, who is a good person can recognize a bad person. A good person can recognize a good person. But a bad person cannot recognize a good person. A bad person cannot recognize a bad person. What does it mean by bad and good? It is who has more greed, hate or negative emotions. It's not nice to name anyone as bad, because some people, sometimes they are bad and they will become good and things change. So, but definitely when we have these negative emotions, that you can be, if you're really concerned about your good looks, not your jogging only, but make sure you have good these thoughts and maintain a purity of conduct, and this will help you. So these things I must tell you just for your daily this thing. And I noticed with the phone also, I must touch this point also. One time, one girl was brought me, that's grandmother, actually wanted her a daughter, not the daughter, the grandchild. For some problem, she was having some problem. She was put into an international school in Sri Lanka, very high, very big school. They were very poor people, but they thought, everything will be good in that school. And she went, like 13, 14, she went to one of these sleepovers. So when she went to this sleepover, she happened to have a bad experience. And after that, for like 2 years, she was, not in proper, on the wrong path. So the parents noticed that, and the grandmother also, and then once they wanted me to meet her, and she came to me. And when she came, the grandmother, I noticed, she asked, "Did you take a bath?" She said, yes, Sacha. I was wondering, why did she ask, whether she took a bath? To see when she came and she told me everything about her life, for 2 years how she was addicted to the phone and seeing things which were bad and negative. You have to imagine what it is, okay? I can't tell. It's not proper for me to tell in this thing like this. So she said that for the last 2 years I have been addicted like this, and then for the last 2 weeks I am getting like the smell of, poo, of feces around me. And though I have bath or anything, just wherever I am going, I can understand. Because you are attracting so many negative, unseen beings which live on this stuff. So you are that full of that negative, you could say, because Buddha says when you discipline, when you practice, when you are virtuous, there's an order of perfume like going from your body. Okay? So when there's something negative, then something else should happen. Negative means if you're too much, if you're drunkard, because for drinking also, you find the bhutas, pretas or evil spirits, they like the smell of it. And sometimes it's not you, it is those beings that are, using your body. But there are some things also in this. I have noticed even spiritual beings who have gone on the spiritual path, who have broken little bit, some small virtue in the previous lives, they have that addictive nature. So actually they are very good beings. They have a small blockage. If that is removed, you'll see, not like other people, they will be really going, they are saints actually. So even this girl who I was talking about, I know her when she was very young. She's a special being, a young girl, small girl. When she was born also I have seen her. And it was one of the only people I have seen, and I know something from intuition, or this, that she's a very special being who is going to, she has a special destiny. But there are things of karma of everybody we have, which we have to, so we can't label from this that if I didn't know, then people, this is a very bad girl. So such people can have these things. But remember, this is very interesting from the phone, which activate those kind of emotions, then you will attract those things. And I think we should be cautious of it, careful, and so that we learn to discipline ourselves. Even through games, people know. You are not small. I don't see small people, small kids here, but I don't know. I thought I should cover it. So now I will come. I think we have the lifestyle. So this is very important to overcome any addiction we have for the phone. So use the phone for proper purpose, maybe for communication, and if you can't control yourself, try to remove the apps or whatever. Be serious about it if you really want to overcome this. And use your time, because time will just pass, your time is just passing. With the phone, I don't know, you're just looking this, that, and it just goes on. I don't know whether you have time in Sri Lanka people have time, but here maybe you're busy with work, that was good. Better than using the phone and, and other one is the screen of the phone. It's the blue light. It is known that it affects the serotonin in pineal gland or something. Any people, I don't know, which helps you to concentrate, which helps you to focus, that is damaged by the blue light. So when they heard, they are putting a screen because these people want to sell the phones, right? They're telling they're having a screen for the blue light. So, but by the time the damage is known, you're gone somewhere else. So make sure, be careful, all these gadgets. Your life is too precious and too short to, just let it go like that. So that, use it. You have to live in this world, but make sure you develop yourself and, develop your mind and get the best things you can achieve as a human being. That's very important. You must do that. Which part of the world you are born, doesn't matter. You find out which explains, which will give answers to life, and try to know the secret of life through anything, I would say. This is my general motto, that you must try to do that. So other thing is, okay, so I told about, the danger of these things. And the blessings I told also, okay. So the other, now I go to very important point about consciousness. The Buddha's main teaching regarding what we are made up of. So I told you not Edgar Casey, because what's his name? Deepak Chopra. He explains about consciousness very well from the Vedic teachings. But the Buddha explains the cause of consciousness, how the consciousness arises, and how it will never rise again also. So to remove the cause, there's no being, no master who explains that. So they are called the 12 links of life. Have you heard anyone? 12 links. This is a very, the link of life, link of existence, I would call it. Not life is not enough word, but this is it gives the full explanation of this, our being, of what is this whole existence. So it's one part is coming, is the consciousness. Okay? So what is this consciousness anyway? We know about being unconscious. All right? We have a body sometimes, we can be clinically unconscious. Okay? So then what we have? We have the flesh body. Okay? How do you know we are conscious? Say someone hit you to the point you became unconscious. And then how do you know when you become conscious? You slowly see something and maybe recognize him also. Okay? Because then immediately, like in colors and pictures, okay? So it's like your eyes, then maybe you immediately get some feeling, as a pleasant, unpleasant. Of course, unpleasant if someone has hit you. And you recognize and then react. Maybe you want to then go away or you want to run away. Okay? So that's called reaction. Alright, this all in consciousness is happening. So these are called factors of consciousness. I will make it in slow motion. For example, you have the ear and an object, sound waves. Alright? So this is the material part, aspect of this thing. So the sound waves are there, the ear is there. Alright? So these two are there. There is something called an attention, initial attention that comes. With these three, there is something called the contact comes. Okay? When there's contact, there's a sensation that goes. These are all in the consciousness. Until that initial attention, it's just material part only. Okay? So you have the ear and the sound waves, for example. This is material part. And there's the initial attention. It's called manasikara in the Pali. The slight attention, then there's something like says happen. That's the consciousness. Immediately in the consciousness, there are factors of consciousness. There are some things like building blocks of what is inside it is sensation. And there's something judging the sensation as pleasant, unpleasant and neutral. That's called perception. And when it says pleasant, there's something that comes reacting with greed. When it's unpleasant, perceived as unpleasant, with hate. And if it's neutral and you're just there like that, is with delusion. This reaction is called sankhara. Okay? This is what karma is. Because there's intention when you react like that. So if you react only in thought, it becomes mind karma, mind sankhara. If you speak with that, then it becomes word karma. And if you physically do something like that, it becomes body karma. Okay? This happens all the time. Alright? It's very interesting if you can go through Edgar Cayce's case studies. Some things you don't express physically and verbally, but you keep it inside you, how it has manifested in this life. It talks about the chastity belt and all that in the Crusaders' time. Very interesting. How you have sexual problems in this life based on that internal, sort of... this is something, one thing, remembering so many like that. It nicely gives, it gives nice explanation because Buddha gives I would call the science of our, consciousness and the karma, but this gives us something from our modern time and actually, gives very clear this thing, how to picture karma. So then even in your office or working place or family life, you will be noticing that the same patterns are coming in your life. Okay, you'll be noticing that. Otherwise, this goes on, you're unenlightened, you're not, you're being petty-minded, narrow-minded, and just, reacting. What is this? You have to raise up your awareness and like that, so that you immediately come out of this cycle, then you become less reactive, not in a kind of ignorant way, but with then things around you also start to change, harmonious and peaceful. Because you're creating the world, how you react. Even in this present life, less you get angry, less people will, if you really don't get angry. I told about one aunt, I don't think I should, these old stories, some of them feel bored to death if I repeat these things, because who have listened to this. But anyway, this I am coming to very important, we have to cover. So this is clear, how consciousness, there are 4 factors. There is a body, the body part, the ear and the object, then the eyes and the light or form, the nose and the smell, tongue and the taste, like that for the 6 organs. So you have this material part, and you know how for each one it happens like that. Initially there's the reflection, and then there's the connection, there's the sensation, and judging the sensation is perception, and the way you perceive, you react. That is karma. If you react thought, it's mind karma, which would speak, word karma, action, it becomes body karma. So this is all the time happening, all right, in us. Unknowingly, this is what we are doing. So normally, the last moment, have you heard about this? We get a last thought. Have you heard about this? We have got a last thought. We get a last thought. And there's another thing happened last with our body in the moment of death. The last breath. Okay? I'm jumping into very deep waters. Anyway, I told you this time my teaching is all about, if anyone wants to get it, let them get it. It's a good chance, but I don't know how much it will digest. Some things my teacher told deep and to ponder, I am putting it out. Making you familiar to think in those directions, because reading the original teachings, it is actually like a manual of our being. It's no point just reading. It explains life, it explains our existence. And you can't, you have to begin to see from your mind, the faculty. It's something like even, those days, how did they find the earth is round? Do you know? Like, I have heard those days, like, they have this this telescope, right? And from the sea, the mast of the ship, when it's slowly coming up, it's like, you can see it slowly appearing more and more. So then you knew it from a gradient is sort of coming up. So they can't see the gradient. But by seeing this, and then the real truth is thought over. Same way this knowing the truth of the Dhamma, you know some things you can see from your senses. And the other thing you have to contemplate, connect, analyze, then only you find the truth. Same way this unseen truth of our life also is like that. So for the same way, this Buddha's teaching is like a coding, it's like you have those things where he explains the sort of the cause and effect, the pointers. So you learn to think of the Dhamma, that's the main thing. Thinking of the teaching, so that's we are now also doing. So I'm just trying to give you an idea. Consciousness, how can consciousness, Buddha says, is conditioned. Okay? Without a sound wave, if you just have the ear and you have your attention, that consciousness will never arise. Okay? Do you follow me? Or you are following something? You have to follow me if you are going to understand this. If you're tired, I'm sorry. So you have eyes and, for example, objects. So if the ears has some problem with the ear, you have only the sound coming and hitting the ear. Okay? And you're trying to pay attention also. Will there be consciousness? What do you think? Will there be consciousness? No. Okay? So you have the ear, the sound waves come, but your attention is not there. Initial. Will there be consciousness? No. So there has to be the sound wave, there has to be the ear, and there has to be the reflection. 3 coming together, the conditioned thing. So you are taking for granted, you are like looking, doing these things, It's a conditioned thing constantly happening. Okay? So, what the Buddha does is he breaks the condition. I will tell you, it's a very great, wise thing, because the consciousness is the main thing that rebirth happens. Okay, the body doesn't go to a next life. One time one monk was asked, I think once very senior monk was asked, how to explain rebirth, how to prove it. It's like it's happening in the mind and consciousness. For example, then he asked the other person, can you think of a flower? Then he said, yes, Bhante. And then he said, what is the color of the flower? What flower did you think is a rose or something? Then he said, can you prove that you were thinking of a rose? You can't prove it. It is something same way. The rebirth is it's a consciousness, a thought. So it gets a body for that thought to continue. Okay? So the thought needs a body always. So I'm coming now here slowly. Just follow me. So karma is the one so the consciousness needs the conditions. You must keep this in mind, okay? Without the conditions, consciousness cannot arise. And another way, how to see consciousness is not you. Now in this consciousness only, we are now experiencing the hall, the devotees are there, or in your family, this is my brother, this is my sister. All this is in consciousness, okay? So my boss or in the working place or whatever experience is in consciousness. So normally it's very difficult to see. Now the body we can see getting old, dying, disintegrating, something you can see like, yeah, it's the way, not the way I wanted it, so that means not mine. You can analyze that like that. But consciousness is so fast changing that you can't you see it like a single stream. And you don't get the feeling or very tangible awareness that this is not me. It looks me. You can feel the body as no me, but to feel or to know the mind as no me is very difficult. Okay? So what happened? There's one way how the Buddha shows. The consciousness cannot never arise. It cannot arise without a body. So if it needs a body to arise, and if the body is not you, then the consciousness have to be you, not you. Okay? So it is actually through wisdom only you know it's not you. You can't really see, and that is by the meditation you begin to really realize it. Oh, the consciousness is not me. And the body is not me. Also this has to be realized through your own experiences. For that only in your walking meditation, when you contemplate and when you create a sort of, you build up a certain, you could say a beauty in you. That means you have developed these virtues and develop your concentration power for some time. The possibility is there that you might perceive these truths in a very clear way. So now, normally we know the last moment we get the last thought. Okay? So normally we know that if you have interacted too much in the sensual world, that is like with your family and your working place, only these two, it is with the five senses mostly. So normally we get angry or we get attached and all that, and we create karma in this plane. Okay? So according to karma only we get the last thought. Okay, to direct us to next how we should go on. So if you were attached to your parents, and just for example, okay, to give an idea, or any other relations and so on too much and interacted too much, most probably you will get the memory of them. Right? You don't want to leave them or whatever. So it depends also on type of good deeds and karma you had done to propel you to what kind of form you will get, but sometimes you might not leave them. You might be in an area of plane, these things happen. So just to give you just an idea, the last moment, what you have been very busy in your normal life for a long period, that is the most possibility. So the last thought comes, and then when the dying time comes, there's a last breath. So normally what do you think in such a person? Will he be able to look at the last breath, or will he be distracted by that last thought? What do you think? Be distracted, because one thing, he still has desire and he has karma. For example, coming here also, you have some karma to suffer with me now. Okay. For 1 hour, 2 hours. Okay, that's why you thought, oh, I must come. Now you think I made a mistake. Okay. So, now coming, like that is also karma. We have a karmic interaction, and there is karma means there is some cause and effect for you to be here. Alright? And you had a desire to come. These two things. Same way the rebirth process, the moment of there is desire in you still, and there is karma. For karma brings you the object, karma brought you the, like the function, the program. If there's no karma, they say the program is cancelled today. Okay? So just to get an idea how you must picture the rebirth process, you have that karma still with you to work out, as well as you have the desire nature. Alright? Normally karma is created by desire. So this is in the sensual plane. So what happened when you have like that, you're distracted by a thought means what? Does the conscious have conditions or not to arise? What do you think? It has conditions to arise or not? It has conditions, okay? It's very simple, keep it simple, but it is revealing a very deep secret. If you're interested about rebirth and Buddha's main reason of this path, okay? Even thinking like this can make you enlightened, tell you honestly, alright? So this is called Yoniso Mansikara. So what happened? Now I add something. This is my teacher's explanation, but I'm adding something to explain this further. Have you heard about non-returner in the Buddha's teaching? Non-returner is someone who goes to higher Brahmalokas and he's not born here. Why? Because first thing, he's not born here. He has no karma in the sense plane. Okay? His wisdom and his achievement is such that his defilements are not working in the sensual plane. Okay? Five sense world. But he still has desire for meditation, for example, for samadhi or equanimity, peacefulness. It's a feeling. It is a neutral feeling. We have three feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, and the neutral feeling. So it falls under neutral feeling. So now when he's dying, when he's passing away, he has no desire for the sensual world. He has a last breath. Do you think he can keep attention to the last breath? What do you think? It's not a multiple choice question. Learn to think this. I'm trying. Now is the time we had to. It's not all the time for peace. This will bring permanent peace. What do you think? He has desire still or not? He has desire. He has no desire for sense world, but he has desire for anything else? Peace, yeah, okay, peace. Samadhi, okay? And he has karma also in that. That's why he's called non-returner. Okay, that is somewhere. He don't return here, but he will perfect it in somewhere else. Alright? So, when he's dying, in the last moment, the last breath, you think he will see, or he'll be distracted. Just picture it in your mind. Alright? That's the most important thing. Just picture how you think like it's happening to you. So you have no desire here and you are still attached to meditation. And then what happens? Your mind will definitely get distracted. So that becomes an object for consciousness. The consciousness will arise, right? Not in this world, in a higher world. Alright? So just imagine Arahant, the one who perfect completely. Just think it's happened to you and you have completely no desire whatsoever, even to peace. Okay, even to anything sensual world or to peacefulness of any type of feeling. Will you be able to keep your attention to the last breath, not attaching also to the breath? Will you be? Just picture yourself like so. If you keep like that, then will there be conditions for consciousness to arise? What do you think? No. My teacher used to warn me, it's deep. Okay, and I'm also warning you, it's deep. Alright, so I'm just putting you into a kind of this thing. One day if you happen to read the original Buddha's teaching, it will become very meaningful. It became meaningful to me. As a young boy, I used to listen, I used to enjoy when he explains this part of it. But in the jungle, when I happen to go through the original, this thing, the conditioned nature, how the khandhas, what we call body, feeling, perception, and consciousness, are like a gum, with our craving. The consciousness is bound with that gum of craving. Okay, so the gum is removed by wisdom, then it can't exist, it can't stand. Then a rebirth in a mother's womb, it can't arise, that can't form. Okay, so some food for thought. I hope you get a chance to read the original text. And this after a long time, after 5 months, I'm giving this. So anyway, I go for questions because I've given too much of things. Let me see whether I can to cover anything else. So I suggest, we have this word of the Buddha. And, I have started this retreats. I don't know, so this is one way. In a program, people get some idea of, and the retreats, I don't know how it's done here. So that is where, which I did for like 2 weeks with my teacher. The same thing I'm giving to others. Actually, he explains to read those special texts only to monks those days. When monks come, he tells, read the Khandha. If you want to attain the sainthood or this way, read this thing. So now I'm giving to lay people, anyone, monks, so that all get a chance to try it out. If they have karma, if they, there's a possibility that they can, we all must attain this. So it's not sort of leaving it to only monks to do it, but it is there for any yogis, any who are interested in meditation. I'm sure they can all achieve this if they, get this thing. So as retreats are going, that's my main this thing. So programs are there like just to clear or give support or give a push towards a retreat one day, and to make your life, now in the practice, very important, early morning, very important to start your practice with compassion meditation and anapanasati. These two, if you can stay, whatever, it's like a habit like brushing your teeth, if you can, stay like that, get that peacefulness. And the second one is to be careful where your virtue is broken anywhere, where you lied, where you did something, where you're breaking the 5 precepts, that you must think how I'm going to avoid today. Okay, and the other one is how to go mindfully and how to control the senses. That is not to see what is unnecessary, not to hear what is unnecessary, because that will create the monkey mind. We want to reduce our monkey mind, right? So it starts from how we have stimulated from the 5 senses. So I tell normally there's a practice called Indriya Samvara Sila, where you don't look at the details. It is the highest type of, you could say, virtue or discipline you can discipline on the path, where you don't look at the details. Like when you're crossing the road, you see the vehicles, but you don't see who is inside the vehicle, for example. All right? So same way the phone, everything is used in that direction. So that, then you just learn to do your activity without allowing your mind to have chances to have desires or irritation. So that way you are developing your internal energy. And when you are developing the internal energy, you have that, I told you, happiness without a reason. And then when you're walking, driving, just feel the seat. Simple things, improving your ability to be in the present moment. Feeling the steps. Okay? And just not, before the thing comes, don't think of a solution. It's not easy. Some idea you can think, because, but try to get that spontaneous, solution for something. So that you'll use desirelessness to achieve what you desire. Okay? There's such a power in that. So when you walk, just pay attention to the little things immediately. Don't allow the mind to go to sort of so much far ahead in the future or the past. Your mind will run to the old habit, but bring it again to the simple noticing. You will see, you will get a sense. Slowly your mind will find health in peacefulness and strengthening of the mind. So when you're driving, just feel the steering wheel, like that, the seat. Basic things. More you pay like that, your mind, mind has that plasticity nature. You can train it in so many ways. So when you train this way, you'll learn to be a master of peacefulness in mind. And that will enhance your worldly life also, for sure. Whatever you direct your mind to, then you can achieve that also better. But mostly you will have no stress, you will live actually. You will not live like a dead person. So I wish you all the merits you have acquired by listening to these teachings, especially to our senior venerable sirs, and to get them, may they get strength to do all this work and keep the Dhamma going for you all, a great service, and all our senior masters, teachers who have protected this and given this to us, and your parents, relations, and all beings have been our relations in this long samsara, according to Buddha. From the lowest to the highest, may they get a transfer of all this good karma, who are protecting these noble teachings in all directions into powerfully for the well-being of others out of compassion. Supattetva, dukem videtva, nivan suwa labatva, sansara perapim matvetva, kavadakvad dugata patnavi, satuting satutta, dharma shantiya kara gaman karande, perapim matvetva. කවදාකවත් දුකට පත් නොවන උතුම් ධර්මය ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ කරන ගමනක්. සතර අපායට නොවැටි without falling into the four states of suffering. No fear of death, no fear of samsara. May this noble Dhamma give you all support and protection.